Next Friday, when we wake up, pick our heads up from our pillows. Yeah, it's the start of Michigan State football season. Sure, of course, but it's also the start of Nick Marsh breakout season. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you all so much for tuning in to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week. Please rate, review, subscribe, comment below if you are bracing yourselves for a Nick Marsh breakout season. And it's not just going to be me babbling on and on about this. No. We got Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated, great friend of the program last football season. We dragged him on every single week, even the bye week. But hey, you know what? We gave you a break, Chase, from talking Spartans, but now we have unearthed you again. Let's talk Nick Marsh. Let's talk Michigan State football, because you did an awesome film room piece, as you do all season, for Spartans Illustrated, and it was pretty Nick Marsh dominant. Now, I gotta say, a few weeks ago, I did not think that we'd be talking about a breakout season for Nick Marsh, because, quite frankly, I thought he did the breaking out when he set records for Michigan State for both
catches. I think the breakout might be here.
That's kind of what I thought. And then the Blitnikoff watch list comes out, and he ain't one of the best 50 receivers going into the season. Our own Locked On Podcast Network. Oh, let's do the other chest. There we go. Left them off their top 100 college football players list. It made me sick to my stomach, Chase. So I'm ready for a breakout year. I watched your 36-minute film room. I think you're ready for a breakout year. Is this right, Chase? Are you ready?
Yeah. I mean, Matt, it's interesting. I listened to Split Zone Duo national college
great
football
podcast
show. Yeah, it's fantastic. They did their Big Ten preview that came out either yesterday, today. I listened to it today.
Mm-hmm.
And they for each team in the Big Ten, they did a rose, a rosebud, and a thorn. So what are you feeling really good about? What are you optimistic about? What might be a problem? And they led with the receivers, and that's what we're going to be talking about a lot here. And they posed a question somewhere in the discussion where who was better as a true freshman in college football than Nick Marsh? I can think of one that's in the Big Ten. I can think of Ryan Williams from Alabama. After that, I'm not saying that there isn't somebody else. There may be, but I can say very legitimately they don't come to mind immediately.
Thank you. Okay, because I've said the same thing, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. So, okay.
No, he was, maybe his numbers went down a little bit later in the year, but also Michigan State, as we've talked about before, kind of constricted their offense to some more basic concepts that worked with what Chiles could do, and they took care of the ball a lot better.
Yeah.
But he was fantastic, and he was a difference maker, and I was surprised. The Blitnikoff, I know you guys have talked about that a lot on here, and it's gotten a lot of press. I was, I think you should be delighted that the two other folks that are going to be getting a lot of snaps with him were on there, and we're going to talk about that. But I certainly thought that he merited inclusion. I can guarantee he'll be on it next year. But this is somebody who was all Big Ten as a freshman, who was extremely productive and did a lot of really, really good things. So I think that the breakout, in my mind, it's already here, but I think we have every reason to get excited for what should be a very, very good season from Nick Marsh and from the wide receivers as a whole.
Where do you think he's most dangerous at right now? Let's say he didn't improve a single iota this offseason, which, that hard time believing that, considering how we're talking about him, of course, but let's just say he's the same player as he was last year. What impressed you the most? Was it what he could do, deep down the field, down the seam? Was it something that he could do in short yardage, short route situations? Is it something I haven't named yet? What just caught your eye for the true freshman receiver?
I talked about this in the film piece. Just there was kind of one of those sideline camera field level views of him. I think just what stands out is just how athletic and big he looks, where he's playing as a true freshman last year, and he looks like an established Big Ten wide receiver in that he's big, he's thick, but he's not muscle bound by any means. He's lean, but built, and he just has that look. And I think that really stands out as far as just his ability to handle the physicality of the league and excel in a very physical league. But I think when looking at the impact that he has, it's the field stretching ability. And you can see just week to week after that Maryland game, I don't know if he got press coverage the rest of the season. Maybe
Smart.
a couple times against Purdue.
Right.
But it's and then how often was he even truly one-on-one? And we can talk about some of the ways that there was some ways that Michigan State schemed those up, but you get him isolated in straight man coverage on a little smoke route against Iowa, and he puts somebody in the dirt with a spin move and scores a touchdown running through two people. It's just the physicality and the athleticism really jumps off the screen as a true freshman, and as somebody with a year in a college weight program now going through a full spring and a full off season, have to think that he's just grown, especially as he just develops as somebody who was 17, 18 last year.
Yeah, exactly.
As he fills out a little bit more. But just in looking at it schematically, what he's able to do down the field, obviously from a production perspective, but also in freeing up matchups for the rest of his teammates in the passing game, he's just such an issue that defenses have to devote resources to. And doing that film room was just extremely enlightening, and just really focusing on him and in the passing attacks as a whole, but really through the lens of him. It's hard not to be just extremely excited about him and what he offers.
What do you think the next step is for him? And this is a question I've asked a few people during the offseason, most recently RJ Shelton, former receiver here for Michigan State. And he said, just all between the ears right now, just making sure that you are there every single week, that you are the guy, and the responsibility and the hard work that comes with that, of course. Was there anything like stylistically on the field that you saw where it's like, okay, he did like decent here, but this is definitely where he's got to be at next year for this to all work out and hit his ceiling?
Well, I mean, I think Nick Marsh is not sneaking up on anybody this year, where to the extent that he didn't last year, which I think he certainly did, you're going to get every team's best cornerback in man coverage. Certainly. You're going to get safeties rolled towards you. You will have defenses really designed to stop the passing attack broadly, but you in particular, him and Chiles with his legs, obviously, but really there's going to be substantial focus on, okay, how do we stop Nick Marsh? So I think you can see I think a refinement of the route tree and the broadening of just what are you able to do. So there's some things where it was clear, like he's extremely good at the selling the comeback route and breaking off a route and getting back to the sideline and coming back to the ball, things like that down the field. Can you sell a double move a little bit better? And really just things that I would not necessarily be able to identify, but that I would imagine in some capacity. There was one play where Michigan State essentially wound up with three receivers in the same part of the field. And it's just like, that's not supposed to happen. I don't know what was supposed to happen.
I know what you're talking about.
It's guesswork, and I don't even know if it was on him. I kind of think it was on Isaiah Johnson. Just because I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to happen. But you are the guy making sure that your routes are run with precision, especially I think for things that are underneath against zone defense, where it's just so critical to be on the same page with your quarterback. Are you stopping in the middle of a zone, or are you carrying something through as part of a mesh? Are you sitting, or if it's an option route, are you guys both reading the defense the same way? Because about half the time when you see a quarterback just throw it into grass and you're saying, what are you doing? What are you looking at? Well, I'm going to bet maybe there was some sort of a miscommunication where it's an option route where both people have to be on the same page post snap. Just making sure, I think this goes for Chiles as well, as you're both in your second full year starting, leading this team as the leaders of the offense, that all those little things are being done correctly. But man, there's a lot of just good stuff from a physical perspective and also from a schematic perspective that comes off on watching the film that I didn't really appreciate maybe watching it in real time as much as I should.
We are less than 1 week out from FanDuel Futures Day, guys. That's right. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this will be your moment. If you want to go ahead and throw a flyer out there for a long shot division winner, I've got one in mind, Carolina Panthers for the NFC South at plus 420 right now. Yeah, I do have an eye out for the Minnesota Vikings at plus 300 as well. But hey, look, if you want to go for Super Bowl, you just want to go for the big kahuna. And if you're a fellow Detroit Lions fan, well, hey, right now they're plus 1,100 on FanDuel. Guys, go ahead, get your prep, get your studying done before August 26th rolls around. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Because Futures Day is one day and one day only. It's FanDuel. Play your game. So, I mean, Chase, you've been on the show plenty of times. I know we've never met in person, but like we are friends. I consider us friends.
Absolutely.
You can shoot me straight. I can take it. My real friends, which I definitely do have. Let the record show. No strangers to putting me in place either. So like, and I know that I'm vulnerable right now. That's why I had to pause because like I'm weak right now. I'm vulnerable. I'm in the perfect time of the offseason right now where like I just think everything's gonna be great. Like everything. Like I know this. I just can't stop thinking, like, how does the offense not, like, score damn near, like, 10 points more per game than they did last year? And I know that's a low bar, everyone, okay? It was, like, 18-ish or 19-ish points per game last year. I understand that. But it's not just Nick Marsh. Like, yes, he's going to get a lot of the attention, the double teams, the best corner. Okay, but everyone that they have surrounded him with, and, of course, Aidan Chiles is one of them. Okay, that chemistry coming back. That is the highest quarterback receiver by yards returning in the Big Ten. That's how much turnover there is, guys, in the conference. It's crazy. But also Omari Kelly, who we are hearing just incredible things about this offseason, whether it's Chrishon, McCray, Rodney Bullard, whoever's at slot. No disrespect to the guys last year. I think it is just a little bit of a difference this year. I'm not going to say it's like a massive, massive change for slot receiver, but in the margins, I think it's going to be a little better. You got Jack Vellion. Like, Chase, like, this offense can't fail, right? God, what a stupid thing to say after 2 straight years of no scoring 20 points per game. But
I mean, there's a couple things, and that I think as far as, let's start with the negative. How can it fail? If you have, I mean, discounting injuries, yes, if you have a catastrophic injury on the offensive line or to a major contributor, of course, but you can't predict that, and I don't think it's worth talking about.
We're absolved from that. You can't clip this and dunk on me if that happens. Okay, perfect.
But I mean, if the offensive line is not able to sufficiently protect Aidan Chiles and he's under assault, I mean, you saw that in the Illinois game. If he's consistently under assault, that's going to be very deleterious to the offense. Now, I think that they've taken tangible steps to improve the offensive line, and you've talked at length about that. And I think that you don't know, you don't know how people are going to mesh, but I do think at the very least there should be depth. Something I am a little bit concerned that I am concerned, but that I had to talk through my head is I don't think Michigan State's going to get a whole lot out of the running backs. And this has been noted by a lot of people. So what does that mean? If whether it's just the fact that the running backs aren't necessarily difference makers themselves, or you don't have an offensive line that's opening a lot of holes for them against some pretty gnarly defensive fronts that they're going to face, or a combination of the two. Well, I think it means two things. One, there's going to be a lot of stress on the passing attack, which on the positive, I think should be excellent. Okay. And then two, something I'm going to really, really look at is the use of, from a schematic perspective, of Aidan Chiles' legs. So there's a lot of different ways that you can have designed quarterback runs, where one of my favorite is there's kind of a quarterback power where you're taking a lot of times even a front side guard and folding him around the tackle into kind of a kick out block. And then maybe having a tight end going upfield and taking out a second level player. And you're just getting a quick hit, trying to get 5 to 7 yards and hopefully avoiding a lot of contact. And then the second thing is something that Michigan State put on film a lot last year, which are these play actions, these rollouts where Chiles has the opportunity to tuck it and run. Because if you're not getting a lot out of the running backs, there's going to be a lot of resources devoted to the pass game. And I know we talk about that a lot, but I mean, that's largely what Michigan did last year against Michigan State, where we are going to really mix things up in the back end. We're going to show a lot of coverages. We are going to make sure that we show Chiles a lot. We don't want him to beat us with his arm. At the same time, Michigan State saying, okay, we don't want Chiles to lose this game. We're going to take a lot of really safe throws. But what happened was you're looking at a 5 or 6 man box. You're able to get people singled up. And when Michigan put Mason Graham outside, Michigan State was chunking them on the ground, particularly in that first half.
Yeah.
So there's going to be that cat and mouse game where like that, people are going to be devoting resources to the passing game, in Chiles' ability to use his legs and really hang on to the ball, in doing that. That's going to be critical. As far as your point about, can they score 10 more points a game? Something that's going to be critical is, can you reduce turnovers? Just because if you're giving yourself more possessions, then you can help yourself out and give yourself more chances to get those 8 to 10 more points a game.
Yep.
As far as watching the film and kind of how I think Michigan State might do that, something that I saw a lot and we talked about was the Yankee pass concept, which people's definitions differ. For me, you're looking at it's a 2-person route where you have on one side it's working on both sides of the field. So on one side of the field you have either a post or maybe a deep cross. Then on the other side of the field you have somebody running a fade. So you have it basically, it really attacks a 1 or 2 high safety shell, and you get this point. There's a really good clip of it in the Maryland game where it's kind of a field level view, but from the end zone, where you see these 2 players kind of cross in front of each other. And it puts the safety in a position of conflict, where if they come down to cover the dig or the cross, then you're looking at the fade. If they stay back, then you look at something underneath. And then there's any number of things that you can put underneath that, a whip route, an angle route, or anything like that. So they used Nick Marsh on both aspects of that. They had him scoring the touchdown on kind of the post, while Velling was running the dig underneath. I mean, that was an incredibly impressive throw and catch there. And then they also had him running underneath, like against Illinois. He made just a phenomenal catch on a deep over where the ball was outside the frame of his body and just really, really strong hands. So I think you see impressive stuff there. And then when you think about the people that are going to be complimenting him, Jack Velling, I really liked Michigan State. They'd have 2 tight ends on the same side of the field, and they'd kind of have almost like you watch baseball. We're both baseball fans. You hear him talk about pitch tunneling, where everything's coming out of the same keyhole, and then it's based on grip. And after it's released, then the pitch changes, but coming out of the hand, it looks the same. They would kind of do that where you'd have a tight end releasing, and then you'd have the second tight end releasing behind him, really making it difficult to match up, making people unsound in their assignments on the same side of the field. And I thought that was kind of a neat way to get into flood concepts and stuff. There's a lot of different things that you can do from that. But when you look at so you have Velling doing some interesting things out of the tight end spot like he did last year. If you look at Omari Kelly and Chrishon McCray, something again to shout out split zone duo that really kind of made me perk up in thinking about the wide receiver room was, obviously Kent State, where Chrishon McCray was very bad at football, but they scored 20. Somewhere in the neighborhood, I think, of 20 touchdowns last year. Kent State, that is a program.
Not great.
No, but McCray had like 9 of them.
Yeah.
And he had, I think, over half of the receiving yards. And I mean, you want to talk, if you have somebody like that, you want to talk about the devotion of resources to stopping a particular person. You know that he's dealing with that. So think about what he might do as maybe the second fiddle, someone playing the kind of Montori Foster to Nick Marsh, and no slight on Montori Foster. He's productive in his own right.
Fine player.
But I think that's extremely promising. And then you have somebody like Omari Kelly, who's had a lot of really good press out of camp, and somebody who was very productive at Middle Tennessee. So I think that a lot will be asked of this passing game, and they're going to need to perform at a high level. But I think with what you see last year, I know the offense really kind of felt like it bogged down late in the year. I do think a fair amount of that was just attrition and not necessarily being completely healthy.
Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, and maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that could take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. Now, guys, you can even read other customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel even more more confident and present in the moment. Head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege, all one word, to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information.
So I think that you should be right to expect more, and Michigan State's going to need to, because
Yes.
I do have questions. I have questions about the defense, Matt. I don't necessarily know how much better Michigan State got on the offensive line or on the defensive line. We all know about how we went, a big chunk of time last year without getting a sack, which, that's not good. In the secondary, I mean, they return a fair amount of people there.
Yeah.
I actually think the linebacking room should be outstanding. It's just,
I think this would be really good. I'm
kind of
fine
like
with that.
It's kind of like having a really good tight end room on offense, though, where it's
sure.
It's excellent to have, and you would much rather have it than not. But it wouldn't necessarily be the first thing that I would pick on the defense if I were building a defense.
Agreed.
Well, it is certainly nice to have, and I do think that they will be excellent. I'm really excited to see Jordan Hollis in particular.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know how salty this defense is going to be. So again, it comes back to how much can this offense produce? Can you just kind of go out there and outscore people, and then the defense is able to come up with enough stops? There's a lot of teams that are very successful at doing something like that, and I think that Michigan State can reasonably say they've got a difference maker in Nick Marsh, and I think very much a potential difference maker in Aidan Chiles, because if Chiles improves on a kind of normal track that you would expect, this should be a very, very good offense.
I think so too. And
especially in the passing game, holistically, they may struggle running the ball a little bit, but I also don't think, again, clip me, maybe I'm going to be wrong. I don't think running the ball will be a disaster. I don't think it will be good. I don't think it'll be good. And really on
it'll
paper,
be there, I think. That's my expectations.
But it's just even from a football perspective, you're not going to see lighter than a 5 or 6 man box. And if you have a 5-man box, you've got 5 offensive linemen, you should be able to do something with that, right?
Yeah, you'd hope. Right.
And if not, again, if not with the running backs, then certainly with Chiles. And if you get a 5-man box, I mean, I would be pretty much auto checking into something where he's either in a pitch relationship with somebody or just get to the edge, get 5 yards, and then second 5. So I'm excited about the offense. I do think something that and we've talked about this before, the Patriots did this for a long time. Just quick little swing passes, angle routes out of the backfield to somebody like Shane Vereen or James White that supplemented a run game. If you're able to do that, then that can really help you out as well. And I clipped a couple plays, or not really clipped. They were in the highlight package that I used in the film room where there was just a kind of a flat route out of the backfield by a running back, and it messed with the linebacker's assignment. So against Michigan, they caught Michigan functionally in man, and you see their linebacker go out to the flat following a running back, and then you have Nick Marsh one-on-one with the cornerback who he just deleted. And just again on the physicality we talked about before, and just the athletic ability, the ability to gear down in reverse field. I mean, just unbelievably impressive.
It's not bad.
No,
right?
No. But that aside, there was a play against Maryland where they're in more of a zone look, but just even that threat of a running back pass out of the backfield, making the hook curl player, who was a linebacker who is, should be sitting right there to just poach literally a slant, which is what Michigan State threw, to just make him false step. We're talking 0.4 of a second or whatever. Yeah, just the difference. Just to be able to, then you're out of a passing lane and there you are. And then you have Marsh with just the physicality to turn a 6-yard catch into a 9 or 10-yard gain. So it's just little things like that. I think what I would look for ahead of the first game, just the ability to put different things on tape as far as different passing concepts, right? Are they threatening all three levels of the field? Are they throwing only, or if you're only getting completions when you're rolling somebody out and you got a half field read, well, okay, then maybe I might want to take a little bit of a closer look at that. But are you hanging in the pocket and having route trees that threaten every aspect of the field that are all legitimate threats to catch the ball? Yeah. How are you putting different defenders in positions of conflict? And really, yes, what does the run game look like? Because if you're not going to be able to move Western off the ball and have your running backs, at least have a pretty good day, you might be in a little bit of trouble.
There'll be a sad post-game show, even if it's a win. Like that's like, well, we did it, but I
mean, I think in really the last 3 seasons, in 22 against Western and 23 against Central, and then last year against FAU, all of them were wins, and yeah, I think at least in Central and Western, they wound up being comfortable wins. I eventually forget FAU. Yeah. I think it was kind of as well at the end. I know it was a little sweaty.
FAU was hairy. Enough time has passed. But what really helped us is that Malik Spencer certainly concussed the other quarterback in the first half, and they never took him out of the game. So once that happened, and once he was seeing like 27 receivers he was throwing to, I felt a little comfortable about that game, even with it being so close. But
I do
anyway,
yeah. But yeah.
I threw you off your train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, but for each of those games, you're able to look at that and say, okay, there's some things here that are making me feel a little bit uneasy on the offensive side of the ball. It's like you're going to really want to look at what does the under center running game look like, just the crispness of the passing game. And then my completely uneducated, uninformed guess is if you're not seeing a lot out of Marsh or out of Chiles in a designed quarterback run game, wait for week 2, because that's like I promise that there will be packages, there will be looks there that you probably don't necessarily want to expend against Western Michigan, because my thought is, I'm sure the same as yours, you can line up and beat these guys.
If you need an Aidan Chiles run package to beat Western, we have got issues.
Yeah, and I'm not, this isn't so much as like, okay, hey, the pocket opened up in the middle and he takes off for 15 yards. Fantastic, and that will be a feature of every game that they play. But is there, so like I said, do you have a little G fold where the guard's looping and kicking somebody out, and you have or some sort of escort motion with the tight end? Is there anything fancy there? I hope we don't have to see that against Western, but I would certainly look for that in week 2. And I just think, how it all kind of comes together and complements itself. Hopefully you're looking at a much more cohesive and comfortable offense that has a lot of different, they have different concepts that build off of each other. And a lot of times, sometimes, they're only clear in hindsight, but you can see the beginnings of it at the time. And if you're putting different discrete concepts that all kind of are able to work together in different ways, maybe it's from the same formation or the same down and distance, or they're exploiting a certain matchup or a certain defense that we can kind of look at. Okay, how are they thinking about things? How are they kind of attacking these different things? That's what I'm really excited to see. And more than anything, Matt, I'm just excited to have football back.
Isn't it great? Oh man, from the great football island itself, Ireland, in just a few hours. Woo! Let's go, man. But hey, nothing says football season like having Chase Glasser back on. Can't thank you enough for your time, your generosity. Guys, you want more Chase Glasser's work, which why wouldn't you? Spartans Illustrated, the fine folks always doing great work over there. And guys, look, I know we said, hey, we do this 5 days a week, but no, bonus show tomorrow. That is right. We're going to do our charity drive mailbag extravaganza. Go ahead, donate to Believe in Miracles. Send the screenshot over of that donation and your question over to lockedonspartans@gmail.com. And we're going to celebrate 1 week until kickoff in style, but also giving to a great cause. But guys, until then, take care of yourselves. Let's get ready for the weekend. Let's mix in a water. Love you all. Go green.